That'll work. All right. So today we're back making some shafts for Turkish drop spindles. We're focusing on 8-inch, but if there's some that have a little bit of wobble, we might be making some smaller ones. Regardless, I would like to get some knocked today. I only plan on probably live streaming until about 1 o'clock. That's 3 hours. We can get a bunch done. But we'll see. So yeah, we're turning hard maple. Now if they could all be like that, that'd be good. Hey Dion, how's it going? Welcome in. So over the last couple days, I fixed a couple of the fluorescent lights that were bad. Pretty much the same here. Here, I'll show you what I did. So yeah, the ballasts were going bad on this one. That one went out. That one over there was completely out. It's never worked since I moved in, so I replaced those. So I had to steal things from this one to get that one working. But since that's over the top, I'm not worried about it. I got rid of the scroll saw and drill press in this corner with the whole like filming thing. I put the Bauer back into storage, and then I took the buck tool and I did put it in the basement. So I was able to move this rack over here, so this is way more open. Yeah. And the lighting in here, because it's all external, you know, it's a brick building, so it's all on the outside. So when they wired it, they wired the lights in here on the back wall there, because there's a door on the other side there, and over on the side here. But we come in over here. So I used to grab a flashlight to walk back to turn the lights on in here. So I put in just a little wireless light. So now when I walk in, I can turn that on, so I have light to turn the lights on. So I got one bulb over there, and then one over there by the light switch. So now I don't have to grab a flashlight every morning, which I thought was cool. And then I'll show you the basement. Hey guys, welcome in. So when I want to cut in the middle of the night, I don't want to piss off the neighbors. So I'm just starting to set up now. So we'll have the 16-inch buck tool down here. Hey Peter, how's it going? So, you know, the one place you want to be at night, so you're not disturbing anybody, is a creepy ass basement. All right, we'll get back to work. So, yeah, getting stuff done. Oh, and as far as the segmented bowls go, I was playing around. I'm going to be making some larger segmented bowls, but I wanted to test out the process. So I made this little cup. It looks like nothing, and it is nothing. It's pine. I just didn't want to waste good wood if it wasn't going to work. So to cut out the segments, my table saw sucks. So I actually laid it out and cut it out on the CNC machine. So this is just a proof of concept, and yeah, it looks all right. So I was thinking, I got 2 bars with me. It is a prototype, just a proof of concept to make sure it works. Hey Anthony, how's it going? So I got those 2 bars within, you know, this block. I was thinking about just scaling it up a little bit and making them some shake of the day cups and put their logos on it. I don't know if that's just a Wisconsin thing, but yeah. We love to gamble. There we go. So I've got some different end mills ordered for the CNC machine, some clamps. They were supposed to be here yesterday. But at 5 o'clock when I left the workshop, they weren't here, and they tried delivering them at like 7:30 at night, even though it says not to deliver after 5 p.m. So now I get to wait till Monday. So we're working with hard maple again. Just trying to get a little bit ahead. Yeah, so we're just gonna kind of just focus on these shafts today. So yesterday we finalized everything as far as a show that we're going to be doing this year. It's can't think of the name of it. It's Lambstown, and it's in California. So we got the booth paid for, we got the hotel, the rental car, the flight, everything's now paid for and scheduled. So that shows in October. So I'm kind of excited. Yeah, it's a new show for me. I've never been to the West Coast. Granted, it's in a little town about a half hour away from Sacramento. So it's not by the coast. So it's a test. We're just gonna bring a very limited number with us, and then set up just one single table and see what the numbers are like. If the numbers are good, you know, we can kind of justify driving there. It would take us about a week to drive there and a week to drive back. So hopefully it's a good show. It is. But it's one of those things where we've never been out to the West Coast. Normally, we do a couple in the Midwest and then East Coast. I wish that they would kind of organize shows where you could set it up on like a circuit, where you could schedule them like a week apart, so you have time to drive from one show to the next show to the next show. Yeah, that would make too much sense. And you know, a lot of it's dependent on the venue as well. So for lots and lots and lots of years, New York Sheep and Wool, it's in Rhinebeck, was 1 week before SAS, which is a show in North Carolina. So you could drive over to the East Coast, hit New York, and then it was a week apart, so you could take your time going down to North Carolina. That used to work out really well, and then they were on the same weekend. Now they're back to being a week apart again. So now, you know, we only do, you know, about a half a dozen shows a year. We don't do a ton. Alright, so if you're just tuning in, we are turning hard maple. We're making shafts with Turkish drop spindles that look like this. Yeah, you have to be relevant. And it's one of those things where right now we're trying to figure out, you know, is it better to do shows that are closer, that aren't as big? You don't make as much money, but you save a lot of money on expenses. Correct. But you know, there's a lot of variables too. I mean, I dropped the show because the venue security was just a pain in the ass. You know, you got to do what you got to do. So a couple, 2 days ago, had the police knocking on the door again. Like, what's going on, guys? Do you have two dogs? Do you have two yellow labs? I'm like, no. Do you know anybody who does? I'm like, yeah, the upstairs neighbors does. I mean, I'm sorry. It's a crack team of investigators, I tell you. No, I think what happened was the upstairs neighbors, she has those two dogs, and there's no grass around here. There's no place for her dogs to use the bathroom. So I see her running them across the street between two buildings that does have grass, but I've never seen her come back with a bag of dog poop. So I'm guessing whoever owns that property, and the grass is super long. So I'm sure they complained to the police, like, I'm not picking up all this dog poop. We don't have a dog. So I think that's why they're tracking her down. But I could be wrong. Hey, Stefan, how's it going? Welcome in. I mean, and it's one of those things where, you know, they're trying to sell the building too. So it's like, yeah, you don't want a bunch of dog poop all over the place. I'm an hour behind. Yep. Yeah, I'm in the central time zone. So you're literally in the future. Oh, that's something I have not considered. When we do that show in California, we're going to be multiple hours ahead when we land. Yeah, we gave ourselves an extra day. So. Well, I'm thinking I could, you know, if they let me know what the winning lottery numbers were, I could run to the store and buy them real quick. I'm using a slightly bigger wire, and it's taking just a little bit longer to burn in there. these are the ones we've turned so far today. I did make a couple before the stream started. So that's what it's going to look like. And that's what it looks like with yarn on it. So Vicky decided to stay home today because it's Saturday. So I walked to work, about a half mile, not too bad. So days that we don't have packaging and we don't have to run to the post office or run errands, we walk to work. The wood looks a lot whiter today. Yeah, this batch is pretty darn white. So here's, sometimes you get into that color. So I'm working on the top now. These are probably replacement ones because they sent me a whole bunch of the wrong species. They sent me a whole bunch of white oak, like 73, I think they sent me. And I'm like, guys, these aren't what I ordered. I don't want them. And they wrote me back telling me I could keep them because they're more expensive than what I ordered. So I could just keep them. And I'm like, I can't use them. So they sent me replacement ones, and they were all really nice. Almost like they went through them to make sure they were all really nice. Because I sent them back 73, and I sent them back some horrible ones that they just sent me that were like all discolored and really, really bent. Okay. That could be part of it. So I did add an extra light. So does it look a little yellower now that I shut the light off? Not sure. So we did order some resin impregnated ply. It's not really plywood, but it has stripes on it. Anyways, so we ordered a piece, and it's going to take up to 6 weeks for them to manufacture it. So we'll see when it comes. So today we are making Turkish drop spindle shafts. So this is what the spindle looks like when it's done. So we're making this here, and they're used to spin yarn. So this has some yarn on it. So this is what came before the spinning wheel. We're good. The big plan is I'm going to be making supported spindles with that. And I'm also going to be making some Turkish. So the goal is to make Russian supported spindles. They kind of look like big magic wands. So that was the main reason for buying the whole buffing system. No, I've been making some. Let me go grab one. So this is what they look like. Now the thought is, if I buy this wood, you know, it's impregnated with plastic, basically. But I should be able to make it narrower at the tip, and it'll be stronger. So we'll play with that. So I could get the diameter down a little bit further. And I'm thinking balancing should be easier because it's not natural. It's, impregnated with resin, so it should be. The weight on it shouldn't be changing around as much. But we'll see. Pretty much. I could make a pretty sweet magic wand out of it. I don't even, off the top of my head, I don't even know what color it is. I believe it's red and gray and black. I could be wrong. Yeah, so that wood that I bought, the Duralux, it's going to be an inch thick, and then I believe it's 8 or 10 inches wide, and I believe it's 3 feet long. I want to say it was like $250 for this one piece. I could be wrong, but I think it's kind of in that realm. I let the boss pick out the color, so I'm not sure what she settled on. It is made to order, yeah. For a while there, I would say about 5 years ago, they stopped selling it and they started selling gun stocks that they made out of it. I'm trying to think if we even have any of the Spectre ply laying around. I don't think so, but we'll look. So it's dyed, laminated birch, yellow birch. So the non-resin stuff is usually available in like blocks. Yeah, I don't think I have any of it. So this is my stash right here. This isn't listed. Oh, I do have one. Here we go. Yeah, so it's like this, except for this is not resin impregnated. This is just dyed. So it's striped like that. So since it's gonna be resin, I'll be able just to buff it, and then it'll have like a mirror like sheen to it, hopefully. So it should be a similar finish to like the pens that I was making. What did I do with the pens I was making? Oh, I put them over here. So yeah, it should have a pretty glossy finish to it. So this one, it chipped out on the end, so I had to make it shorter, and then the normal collar wouldn't fit, so I turned this Purple Heart collar on it, which once that gets dark purple, I think that should be cool. But, yeah. So hopefully it'll have that sort of finish to it. Thank you. Much appreciated, Blaze. Yeah, we're going to put a couple of those pens on the website, hopefully this week, and see if we can sell them. If they sell, we'll take the money from them to buy some nicer kits and make some, maybe make a fountain pen or a couple of bigger cigar pens. And I believe they make knife scales too. absolutely can go for some good money. We'll make this one into a 7-inch. So I'm actually listening to music today. I'm not watching ghost stuff. Actually, yesterday I started watching Archie Bunker from the beginning. Right? For that basement queuing on Yeah, I do have a tablet that I use as a monitor. So yeah, I can bring that down there. Yeah, the basement is a little spooky, but I can guarantee that I have not put any dead bodies down there. I can't say that over the last 126 years somebody hasn't, but I know I have. I don't know, maybe they're just plague ghosts down there. You never know. Gonna have to adjust the screw on my banjo. Yeah, so yesterday my banjo, it was starting to stick a little bit, so as far as sliding back and forth goes, so I lubricated that yesterday. Lubricated the bearings as well. So now it's not locking in that direction, so I just got to tighten the nut a little bit. Not a big deal. Well, so this right here is referred to as a banjo. And if you flip it upside down, it sure looks like the neck of a banjo. Yeah, knock stuff over. So, I believe that's why it's called a banjo. And it's not like a slang term, it's what it's called. I mean, it doesn't have 4 or 5 strings. That one's got too much vibration, unfortunately. So this one, I'm going to cut it off. So that'll go into the fireplace this winter. Yeah, I don't think Earl Scruggs or anybody like that was a big wood turner. You know, no Bela Fleck. No Steve Martin. Roy Clark. Exactly, you have to keep warm. Looks like we may have a knot right there. Should be all right. So if you're new to the stream, my name is Scott. That's why the channel is Making It with Scott, not Making It with Steve. So the channel itself, I do some introductory, beginner kind of woodworking projects. Mainly scroll saw stuff. We just did a pen turning stream and a video for that last week. So usually the live streams, I'm just doing my day job. But it's nice. We can make some wood chips and have a conversation. It's like watching NASCAR. You're just waiting for one to explode in my face. And then the streams, I cut out the arms. I'll cut these out on the scrolls as well. But I'm not set up for that today. I don't have anything pre-drilled or anything. I honestly believe I get more accomplished if I am live streaming, which doesn't make sense, but you guys make me work. Much appreciated. We're going to cut it off on the bottom here. So we're getting a little pile here. 13, 14. Yeah, so in order to fix those lights, I had to buy a bigger step ladder, so now I'm a proud owner of an 8-foot tall step ladder. The ceilings in the shop, they're 12 feet tall. And I only had a 6-foot tall step ladder. It is going to be written off on my taxes, absolutely. So now I can get up to the ceiling and keep the paint that's chipping off the metal ceiling, the tin ceiling, under check. Yeah, since I'm just renting this space, I have a hard time. Well, I'm not repainting. I'm not doing any of that stuff because it's a workshop. I think just fixing the fluorescent lights was nice enough for me. I don't know. It's a tin ceiling. So it's got like decorative things stamped in here. Yeah, so when this building was built, there was no electricity. So more than likely it had gas lamps in here. So you wanted something to reflect the light. Yeah, it's original. But a bunch of it's missing throughout the years, and the front area isn't as bad as back here. The little front room would probably be worth refinishing. Back here, not so much. So originally it would not have been painted. Yep. Hey Edmund, how's it going? Yeah, the landlord doesn't even reply to my text messages anymore. The only time he'll respond is if it's a plumbing issue. The roof needs to be fixed in areas. But, you know, it only leaks when it rains, I guess. So by doing that, I'm documenting the fact that I reported these issues. So I plan on staying here, but if they raise the rent, you know, if I leave, I want my security deposit back. Yeah. So the nice part is here. So, you know, they didn't bother putting the ceiling back. And for me, I don't really care. It's just gonna make it louder for the people upstairs. It's a workspace, I don't care. Well, the biggest thing is um, the two rooms that are next to me weren't original to the building and they were added on. And the upstairs apartment has a door that opens up to the roof there. And the dude has been using it as a patio. He had like a swing up there. And then he added a gas grill, and I had to get a hold of Eric and like, dude, you can't have a grill on a roof in a commercial building. So it's against code. It's a fire hazard. So I had to report that. So I'm sure the neighbor just loves me. But also, I don't want him burning the building down on me either. Just because I have insurance doesn't mean I want to use the insurance. So between the two buildings now, I'm getting a leak when it storms. We'll see if that ever gets fixed. Well, my biggest fear is if I spend my money and paint and fix stuff, he's just going to raise the rent that much more. So I don't want to shoot myself in the foot either. It isn't. And it's one of those things where we signed a 3-year lease, which is fine. But when that 3 years is up, we'll see. You know, if he decides he's going to raise the rent, we'll just go somewhere else. And with that attitude, you know, the goal, what we plan on doing, as far as keeping tenants go, you know, the upstairs apartments were redone. They look really nice. But down here, this commercial space, it would cost a lot to change it into an apartment. But there's no foot traffic here. You can't have businesses don't last here that require customers. So it's kind of a hard place to rent out. So we plan on having a couple months worth of inventory made up prior to the lease ending. So if it is an issue, we can throw the entire workshop in storage for a couple months and find a different place. That way we won't feel like we're stuck here. Here, I'll show you. We'll just talk about across the street. So that building there used to be a bar. It's closed. They are renting the upstairs, but that's been closed for many, many years. come here. This is a bakery that's closed. There's an apartment on that side and a bakery on that side. The apartment's full, the bakery's closed. They're trying to sell that. Come over here. This used to be a restaurant, and then it got turned into a head shop, a tobacco store, because we don't have legalized marijuana here. So they couldn't keep that open, so that's for sale. Come over here. That right there was a credit union. Actually, it was a bank. That closed. Behind the bank, that's the city-county building. That's where the police department is, the fire department, the city-county building. All that stuff is over there. So that's all empty. So, yeah, you can tell that we have a very exciting downtown lifestyle. I mean, bar. But, you know, it's close to my house. It's a great workspace for me. I love this. I think I care more about this building than the landlord does. That's okay. But yeah, as far as the floors go, you know, nice hardwood floors. For some reason, they patched in a big section here that's oak, where this is maple. And then just, you know, plywood thrown down. So he didn't bitch that I fixed the floor over here. Yeah, it's just how things go. So the city next to us the city next to us grew. This city didn't. So the reason the downtown was here is because there's a train yard. So Wisconsin Central Railroad built a train yard here, and they fixed cars and stuff. So they fixed, it's still there. They fix cars and engines from a lot of different companies. So that's why the city grew here, because of the trains. So it's just the way that everything expanded is why it's turned into the ghost town that we have here today. I mean, if I drive the other directions, in 5 miles, I can go to, you know, a handful of fast food places, a sushi place. Well, actually, there's 3 Japanese restaurants, and then a couple Chinese ones, and just all the fast food and everything is just a couple miles that way. So. So let's see, we have, off the top of my head, we have 3 churches, 3 bars, gas stations, we have 2, one's a truck stop. We have 1 small Mexican restaurant. Well, it's not even one Mexican. I guess it's a restaurant, just carry out. That's about it. Oh, we have a Dollar General. There we go. So we have a dollar store. Yeah, the dollar store is about, I don't know, maybe 100 yards from my house. Pretty much. Alright guys, I have to take a little break. I'm gonna hit the bathroom. I'll be right back. So feel free to talk amongst yourselves. All right, thank you so much, guys. Thanks for sticking around. Much appreciated. This one is not quite straight. Yeah, it's not too bad. Oh, coffee does sound like a good idea. But I only have powdered creamer here because we took the coffee creamer home with us yesterday. So if you guys are just tuning in, we are making Turkish drop spindle shafts today. We're doing some spindle work. This is hard maple that we're turning. So we are doing batch work. Which I totally understand. A lot of people are not built for that. I am. It's kind of my ADHD superpower. The power of neurodivergence at work, my friends. Casting yarn. There you go. You know, I've seen lots of streams from. There's a couple people out there, you know, that one person makes like shaving brushes. Another person makes pens for diamond pens. Or somebody that's sitting there throwing pots all day long. It's niche, but you know, if it wasn't, I wouldn't be doing this, you know. I mean, if you want to buy one on Temu, they are now selling Turkish spindles on Temu. But you are getting a Turkish spindle that was made on Temu. There is a lot of weird stuff out there. You know, I don't understand the Lego videos. Like, you know, on like Twitch, there'll be a room with like 1,000 people watching somebody build Legos, but they're not. They're just following the directions and building the model. You know, it's like, I don't know. You know, I get it. I guess it's more for commentary. I don't know. You know, I have to do this because OnlyFans isn't an option for me. Yeah, I ASMR streams aren't my thing. I don't know. I find this relaxing. I don't know. I don't feel the need to whisper seductively into the microphone. Yeah, the whole Pokemon card thing, the card opening streams, yeah. Not my thing either. And Chum Lee from Pawn Stars, Pawn Stars, does that. I'm like, come on. But to each their own. I'll watch, a 2-hour long video of somebody playing Rust, so I guess I'm no better. We'll walk through this one. So yeah, I've got the hard maple chucked up. We're going to start out with the rough and gouge. When I buy this oversized squirrel. Look, it's almost growing out when I smashed my finger months ago. Alright, so we're going to bring it down to size. We're going to use this wrench as a caliper. So if the wrench slips over, I'm on size. And I'm only worried about that little section there. That's going to be where it gets bigger. Now I got a mark on here which corresponds to my story stick. So that's where my taper is going to end. So I'm going to set in. Start bringing the diameter down. Well, you gotta realize where you're gonna stick your fingers, Alright, so we're getting close. I'm gonna switch into the spindle gouge, which is much flatter. See how much more meat there is on this one. So this is not as aggressive. But it leaves a better finish. Another wrench. I'm just going to sand. This sanding here is basically just for this transition here, but I go over the whole thing anyways. Now I'm going to shut the lathe off while backing this up so I can see how it's turning on its own. It's running really true. So this is my template, I guess. Jig. That's my arm jig. So the bottom here would be the bottom here. Now my story stick has lines that I'm going to transfer over. That way they're all going to be the same. So I actually made a cutout here, so I registered against that. Then I'll come up here and I will just trace the lines. This one I made years ago on the laser engraver, but it can be anything. Did that just with a chunk of wood. I have other ones that are just drawn out by hand on a dowel. It doesn't matter. just keeps you from measuring. Yep. So, unfortunately, that did not happen on stream. So we got it laid out. So the bottom has 3 beads. Now I could use the skew and set the beads in with that, but I actually have this beading tool. So I'm going to support it because it's really thin. Then I'll come in with the beading tool. Now I give it a little wiggle back and forth. Even though I'm supporting it, it is going to have a little chatter to it. And I don't want that chatter to be in between there. So the chatter would just be straight lines all the way around. Right? So we got that in. Come to the top, I'm going to lay out the finial. And underneath the finial, come back to my spindle gouge, and we're just going to blend those 2 lines together. So the shaft itself is a series of tapers. So I've got 1 taper here that'll lock the arms in, and another taper coming up here. So I have a piece of wire here. I'm going to burn in a couple decorative lines in between. Just makes the beads pop a little bit. Now we're ready to sand. I'm going to start with a medium grit. Switch to a fine grit. Turn the speed back up on the lathe. Now we're going to burnish. So I'm going to grab some wood chips. We're just going to hold them against the surface. Now it's nice and smooth. We'll take some wax. So we did everything we could while it was between centers, which just means it's clamped in on the chuck, and there's a live center here, which is a pin with a bearing, so that's spinning. I'm going to take my skew, we're going to form the finial, then we're going to cut it off. Since we're clamped in here, it's fine. A little sanding. A little burnishing, and a little wax. So we'll come up and we'll use the skew again, and we will cut it off to a point. So now this one's done. So this will get sanded out and waxed in the next step. So we'll put this one with the other ones. Oh, that's cool. So I sharpened all my turning tools this morning. It's about due. So for the most part, that I use for this, I'm using Robert Sorby tools. And they have really nice high-speed steel. I have not. There's a lot of mills. Yeah, so these hold an edge for a pretty long time. These are made in Sheffield, England. There's a lot of good tool manufacturers out there right now. So for making these, the only tool I use that isn't a Sorby is my beading tool. So this was part of a set from Harbor Freight. So it says it's high-speed steel, but I have to sharpen it quite frequently. But to put things in perspective, a set of 8 of these, all different sizes, the whole kit, is less expensive than one of these. You do paper quality. Absolutely. But, you know, an advantage of buying the cheap set when you first start out is you get really good at sharpening. And there's so many different ways to sharpen, too. So I use CBN wheels on a low-speed grinder. I did not get a wet grinder because at the time I was working out of an outdoor workspace, and I'm in Wisconsin, so it freezes here quite a bit. Do I notice a difference in the quality while using them? Well, you know, the cheap ones get dull a lot faster, so you kind of have to stay on top of them more. So these will cut longer. But But you know, I'm just using those for those two little beads. We are making shafts for Turkish drop spindles, so that's what we're making. Aha! I should start turning lidded boxes, because I can make some pretty sweet-ass spindles. So I think I did get some chatter on this. Actually, I did not. So, never mind. I was going to show you it, but it's not there. There we go. This one wants to be burn proof. Come on. There you go. Yeah, that one is a little bit thicker. It has not been fun. I should probably just swap it out. Hey, appreciate it. So yeah, I've been working on these. I've been making them full time for, this is my 13th year. So I've been doing it a while. So I just have these little handles on here. This wire here is actually picture frame hanging wire that I took two of the strands off of and then plied them together. So this one has a magnet on it. So I stick it to my lathe so I always know where it is. So just made myself a little garrote. center. Yes. I just have to... My problem is, it might be deadly, but I can't really sneak up on anybody. I'm like over 200 pounds. I think it was Austin Powers who survived a garrote attack by putting his thumbs by his neck. It was amazing. That's true. I don't know. The first time the cops showed up here, they were questioning me over if I've seen like somebody harassing bar goers. I'm like, what are you talking about? Well, people are complaining that somebody is making a scene in front of the bars. I'm like, dude, this is a business. I mean, I'm not here during prime bar hours, you know? So even though they were asking, I think they thought it was me. Like, what the hell? No wonder nobody wants to shop here. And like I showed you where the police station is. So if there was an issue, it would take the police 2 minutes to walk over here. So I don't know what the real issue was. I couldn't tell you. I'm not here when the bars are busy. They're just little hole-in-the-wall taverns. I mean... if you would fit 30 people in there, you know, Baltimore are really small. If you fit 30 people in there, it'd be like jam-packed. But I did notice that the bar that's closest to me, they are starting to serve food now. When they first opened, it was just pizzas, but I guess they're making chicken and fish, so they're deep frying stuff now. So I have to try that out. The bar on the other corner has a flat top. So just a very small cooking area. But they like, you know, do burgers and that kind of stuff. We don't eat there a lot, but it's an option. Normally we'll walk over there, order, come home, and then walk back and pick up a box. I gotta grab some meds. I'll be right back. Alright, sorry about that. Hello! How we doing today? Yeah, so the taverns here, they're old people taverns. They're not a place you would go clubbing. I guess I'm one of the old people, so I should enjoy it, but yeah. Not my thing. Yeah. Got a little aggressive with the beats down there. So this one is mine. This one's a little bit out of the realm of the same. Got all excited talking about bars. I would say it's an older town. But they keep expanding the schools, so there's gotta be kids too. I like that, but it's just too dissimilar. It's too rounded. People would, hey, sold this one, I'd have to start making them all like that. So, yeah, the front windows I keep shaded, and I got shades up on the windows on the doors as well, just because we're not open to the public, and I've got a big pickle Rick that used to live in that room, but I have it somewhere else because I would hate to have a drunk person think that, oh, I really need this big stuffed pickle Rick. I'll just smash this window and break into this business to take pickle Rick home with me. So that's my mentality on it. Yeah, so most of the street traffic during the day that I see are usually kids with their parents, or sometimes kids, going to the library. We have a little library a few doors down. So it's a very small library. They don't have a, you know, they don't have a lot, but they're part of a whole bunch of other little libraries. So you can look up and find the book you want, and they'll ship it here. So if you want to get a weird scroll saw book that they don't have, they'll import it from another library. Very rural, yeah. Yep. Yep, I'm back. Yeah, I don't even know what the population. What is the population of North Fond du Lac, Wisconsin? Yeah, we've got 5,000 people. A little bit, that was, 6 years ago. A little bit more now, but. What's the population of Fond du Lac, Wisconsin? And then the town next door has about 45,000 people. So we're not a suburb, but yeah, so once you get out of the little town, it's all fields and farms. Got a lot of dairy farms here. Lots of cows. I don't know about that. So I grew up probably about 5 miles away from here on a little road full of fields and farms. It's quieter. I've never really lived in a bigger city. I would say boredom, yeah. Everything is just further away. You know, me growing up, actually, the road that I grew up on now, they still do not have cable television. In late '80s, early '90s, if 3 people would have signed up, they would have ran the cable. And my father's like, I can have television for free. At that point in time, there was like 4 channels. I mean, we had animals growing up, so there's always chores to do. My parents did a lot of gardening, so there was a lot of canning and maintaining the garden. But, you know, we had apple trees, we had plum trees, we had raspberries, we had grapevines. You know, it wasn't bad. It was a very small hobby type farm. You know, we had pigs for a while. We had goats, chickens, ducks, geese, pheasants. We had guinea fowl for a while. Had a sheep here and there. I've never lived in a major city. Rabbits, we did meat rabbits for quite a few years. You know, I went to college in Upper Michigan. No real big towns up there either. I was not west of the Mississippi River until, I don't know, I was in my mid-20s, I would like to say. I mean, but, you know, I was like driving tractors, you know, pulling hay wagons on the road when I was like 13. So, sure. Well, this one isn't finished, it's not sanded yet, but this is what it's going to look like. And then I have one here that I've actually spun some yarn on. So these, you make your ball of yarn like you saw on the other one, you can take it apart and remove your ball of yarn. So they disassemble. Yeah, so in Wisconsin, you need to be 16 years old in order to get a driver's license. When you're, I believe, 15 and a half, you can get your temps permit. But if you're a farm kid and you're going to be driving a farm truck for farm use from the farm to a field, I believe you have to be 12. Now, I don't know if they changed the rules on that, but that's the way it's always been. So, you're not allowed to, when you're 12, you're not allowed to drive to school. You can drive from to a field. At 12 p.m. At midnight, probably not. I think it's daytime only. So if you're on a rural road and you get stuck behind a manure spreader, take your time, deal with it. Don't get on their butts and start honking at them, because it might be a 14-year-old kid who might just turn on the manure spreader, These things have been known to happen. Oh yeah, yep. So around us locally, we don't have a lot of big commercial farms. Right now is a really... So we have a lot of smaller farming operations here. And a lot of those have been going under and bought out by large corporations. And I think there might be some governmental influence involved in that. So a lot of times if you have a farmer whose kids aren't going to take it over, when they start getting older, they get rid of their cows and they start cash cropping. So they'll just plant the fields and then sell what they grow rather than deal with cows. Be a 7-inch.
So that little restaurant across the street that I showed you guys earlier, that's for sale. Now that would probably be a great space for us, but I still got like a year and a half here. I can't buy a building and then keep paying on this thing either. So if that's still for sale in, a year and a half, maybe I'll look into it. Because that wouldn't be bad. I could just walk everything across the street. That'd be the best move ever. Then it would have a parking lot. But yeah, so if the rent goes up here, more than likely we're going to be moving, like, down south. Just to get away from the winters here. Well, we'll see, you know. You know, I talked to the upstairs neighbor once, and yeah, he's been raising the rent on him. Yeah, I just don't want him to feel like he's got me over a barrel, because he doesn't. No, there's really not. I don't think there is. Yeah, I think it's funny that the neighbor next door, you know, the landlord owns both of these buildings, you know, and he's been doing woodworking here for quite a few years as well. So we got, you know, a little woodworking thing going on here. Yeah, there's let's see. There's another commercial building for sale that's a little bit closer to my house than this. It was they made batteries, but they're asking for a lot of money. Off the top of my head, I don't know what it is, but it's like, really? So it'd be one of those things where it'd be weighing the options of seeing about getting something local or just moving down south. I was staying here because my mother was still here. The rest of my family has dispersed. But she's been gone for a few years now, so there's nothing really keeping us here. Vicky's parents both passed. My parents both passed. My kids are grown-ups. Yeah. That would be what it'd be. And it seems like the last couple people that were in here didn't last very long. And there was a bunch of stuff left here that was valuable enough where I'm guessing they must have got kicked out. I don't know. Is it cheaper down south? Some places are, yeah. So it'd be going from one dead town to a warmer dead town. So my cost of living here is not too bad. I really like North Carolina, but I think the living expenses there are a little bit higher than I want. So maybe Georgia. I've got a woodworking friend. He does he does one of the same shows I do, but we always like hang out. He's always trying to talk me into. There's a space next to where he is. That's empty, and I should move to Ohio. Well, that's not getting me away from the winters as much. Don't get me wrong, it'd be cool to be right next door to another woodworker that I'm friends with. Because, you know, oh, you need a drum sander? Yeah, come over, use my drum sander, not a big deal. You need help with something? Yeah, let me know. You know, I just don't have that here. Not familiar with U.S. states, yeah. I totally get it. So I'm in Wisconsin, so I live right about here. There's Ohio. So it's a little further south, but it's not way south. Now, I really like North Carolina a lot, but where I like it, I think it's be too expensive. So I'm thinking maybe upper Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia. I want to stay away from Florida, Louisiana. I'm not a big fan of Texas either. You know, maybe Tennessee, kind of this region here. So the show in California is way down here. Canada's up here. So I'm about a 7-hour drive to get to Canada. So there we go. Oh. All right, guys. Well, it is time for lunch. Unfortunately, I just heard the door go off. Vicky's here with a frozen pizza, so I'm going to let you go, and I'm going to go have pizza. So thank you guys for hanging out with me. Made over 2 hours, but it's definitely pizza time, so thank you guys so much. Yep. Have a great day. Pizza.